Hi, everyone. I am Kristen Morrison. I am the founder of Six Figure Pet Business Academy and the creator of the Prosperous Pet Business Online Conference. And I am so excited to welcome George Kao here today. He is a speaker. He's a coach on the topics of authentic marketing and joyful productivity. And he's also a proud dad to one puppy and two cats. Welcome, George.
Thanks, Kristen. It's good to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. And so I just want to dive in and talk about joyful productivity. It's a great topic, and it's one that, being productive is a topic that a lot of pet business owners struggle with because they're so busy running their businesses that they have a hard time staying on task. And what is your advice for dealing with that and getting the really important things done?
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first is that we live in a time where, because we are all connected, and of course pet business owners connected with their clients who care about their their pets, and requests from all places, especially if you're online, you get requests all the time. Is that if you don't take a stand and create a structure for your own time and for your own life and business, you will be like a reed in the wind. You'll be blown here, you'll be blown there. Some people call it like putting out fires all day long. And so it's really important to, every day, you've got to start the day saying, okay, today it's my responsibility to create a structure and create some healthy boundaries around myself, because it's honestly getting harder to do that, as we get more connected. As people are connected by cell phones all day long through text messaging, or they're now connected through Facebook or whatever. It's like, so yes, creating a structure and system for yourself is not something that happens by chance. So that's what I love to talk to people about, is how do we generate that kind of structure that feels healthy, first for your own sanity, your own self-care, your own sustainable livelihood, and then in a way that really, is respectful of other people as well.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so you teach about this idea called time placeholders. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So the idea of time placeholders is, a placeholder is, you put like a bookmark somewhere so that you don't lose track of it. You don't lose it. And so that's the idea of a time placeholder, is if you don't put a certain structure around, okay, this is when I work on this aspect of my business. For some people, they know that, oh, I need to work on my social media, or oh, I need to catch up on my bookkeeping, or oh, I need to figure out how to hire the right person. But if they don't actually put a placeholder in their schedule for those things aren't going to happen by chance, because again, we get requests, and whether it's by friends and family or by our business. So a time placeholder, the simplest way of thinking about it is, imagine you had, let's say, 3 projects that you really wanted to work on, but you found yourself continually procrastinating on them and you have good excuses. Well, I had family over, or well, I had this client that was very demanding, and okay, you just say, listen, I've got 3 projects, all 3 are important, and I'm going to say that I'm going to work on each project once a week. And it may or may not be the perfect rhythm, but I just give you an example here. So let's say you're going to work on your marketing. Okay, I got to work on my marketing every week, otherwise it's not going to happen on its own. So why don't you work on your marketing, say, on Tuesdays? That'll be your time placeholders. Tuesdays, even being even more specific if possible. Tuesday afternoons, Tuesday mornings, Tuesday evenings, I'm going to work on marketing for an hour. Okay, I also need to work on getting my bookkeeping more, efficient. Okay, I'm going to work on that Wednesdays for an hour. Okay, I got to work on my, hiring. I got to become more conscious about how I do that well. Okay, I got to work on it for an hour. So a time placeholder is making sure you have the important things as a placeholder in your schedule. Otherwise, it won't happen.
Yeah, and there's something really powerful about scheduling the important things where, if they're not in our schedule, then clients can kind of take over our schedule.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know you also have talked about knowledge placeholders. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so it's a nice kind of companion idea to a time placeholder, because let's say you wanted to work on your marketing. Well, you're going to get ideas about your marketing at random times. It
Mhm.
doesn't all happen on that Tuesday 1 hour time slot or something. You're gonna just get ideas. You're reading a newsletter, on over email, or you're talking to a friend, or you're in the shower and you get this flash of insight about, oh, that's what I should be doing in my marketing. So what happens when you get those ideas? Do you just kind of hope that when you work on your marketing, those will be there? Chances are no. The human brain is not meant to store information. Like, the human brain is meant to be intuitive, to improvise, to relate to others, but it's not meant to be a storage device. And so what's really important is for you to be writing down ideas as they come to you. But then the question is, well, where do you place those ideas? So I recommend to people create a knowledge placeholder for the different projects that you have. So for marketing, you should have a folder, whether that be a physical folder or a digital folder. You have a folder, or you have some kind of a list, so that when you have a marketing idea, oh, I've already got a time placeholder for my marketing. That's on Tuesdays for an hour and from 9 to 10 or something like that. So that's when I'm going to work on it. But then when I work on my marketing, what do I do? Like, you pull out your marketing folder. You pull out your knowledge placeholder. That's where you place all of your ideas about that project. And then once you create those knowledge placeholders, maybe it's a folder for each project, then when it comes time to work on it, you pull that thing out and go, here are 10 ideas I have. Let's go through and see what I feel energized to do right now. So
I love that. I just flashed on reading something about this journalist years ago interviewing Einstein. And as he was wrapping up the interview, he said, well, I'd like your phone number in case I need to, contact you about additional information around the interview. And so he said, what's your phone number to Einstein? And Einstein was like, and he's looking, on his desk, and the journalist was kind of a little bit of a jerk. He's like, you're Einstein, you don't know your own phone number. And Einstein said, the brain is not a file cabinet. Like, this is stupid information. I don't need, this is information I don't need to remember.
wow.
Keep it someplace, but I don't want to clutter my brain with useless information.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I never heard that story. I'm gonna borrow that next time I talk about this.
I know, it's powerful. And if it's good enough for Einstein, I think it's good enough for us too. So
Right. Well, then that's interesting, because I didn't know Einstein did this, right? So he freed up his brain for creativity, because when you don't have to, like, when you try to remember stuff, your brain has to keep holding on to it, and when it's holding on to it, it doesn't open up to new ideas. And so I love that.
Yeah, and he liked to use his brain for problem solving, which we as business owners really have to do a lot, right?
Yes.
We're, constantly, at least for me, and I know a lot of the business owners that I work with, were constantly, how can I solve this issue that's come up? Yeah. And so a common occurrence for pet business owners is that, and probably all business owners, but that they're working in their business and not really on their business, to do the big picture stuff, the strategic marketing and things that can really change their business for the better. So can you talk about how business owners can finally get to those things?
Yeah, great. So then let's actually take the idea of time placeholders a bit further. So we've already talked about the importance of having that time in your schedule to work on the things that are important, because it's not going to happen by chance. And if you let life take over and let your clients and your family and friends take over, that's not going to happen by, they're not going to allow you to work on those things that are important for your business. So, okay, as a pet business owner, you set appointments with your clients, and they're going to bring over their pet at a certain time or whatever, and you set that appointment, and they expect you to be there, and they expect you to be prepared and ready and available to serve them when you set that appointment, right? And you and I set this appointment for this call, and I respect you, you respect me, so we make sure we're here. Well, that's the funny thing is that I tell my clients, listen, the most important client you have in your business is you. Because if you don't work on your business, no one else is going to work on your business. And so you have to look at those slots of time actually as appointments. I mean, consider that. Consider setting an appointment with yourself to work on your business. Now, a lot of people tell me, well, George, I've already tried that. I set appointments and, you know, it just kind of comes and goes. Well, it comes and goes because you don't respect your own time with yourself. And so again, you got to remember, I am the most important client in my business. So if an important client says, hey, I want to schedule you for Tuesday at 9 a.m., and you see that you've already set an appointment with yourself to do something, and it's not reasonable for you to somehow move that. Now, I do agree that if you set a time placeholder and you set an appointment with yourself, the nice thing is you can look at your calendar and say, okay, I plan to work on my marketing from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Tuesday. The rest of my day is free. An important client wants to meet me at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Can I reasonably move that to working on my marketing at 11 a.m. instead of 9 a.m.? Mm-hmm. Now, if you set an appointment with yourself, you can quickly check in with yourself. Can I reschedule that ASAP? But it's still, you know, if you find yourself rescheduling something again and again and again, you should ask yourself the question, would I do this to a client? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't do that to a client. I mean, if it's important, you might reschedule once with a client, but you won't just keep putting them off. Right. So don't keep putting yourself off, because if you don't respect yourself and your own time boundaries, other people won't, because they get that signal about how you treat yourself. Totally. So you got to start with yourself. Yeah. So practice. So I say practice setting appointments with yourself, because that's where you start.
I love that. Yeah, we teach people how to treat us, and how we're treating ourselves is a really big message, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I have a date with myself every Monday. So today's Monday. It's the day that I haven't yet done it, but I'm going to do it by the end of the day, where I really look at what are my weekly goals? What are my monthly goals? It's the beginning of the month. So I'm looking at what do I need to do for the month? And I have a list of goals that I go over and really, and I look at last month's, and last week's goals to see, where am I? Am I on track with that? And it's a powerful experience, having that container of time around me and my time with myself, with my business.
Yes, because it's not going to happen if you just say it's going to happen sometime. And the sometime somehow never happens.
Right. It's like setting the GPS, or trying to set the GPS, but not setting a destination. Like, show us where to go if we don't put in where we want to go.
I'm just going to go somewhere.
Yeah. You tell me where, right?
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of distractions lately, with internet. And so what do you advise clients to do to manage that and really stay focused in their business life?
Yeah, great question. And actually those distractions are getting worse as media companies get more savvy about how to hook us in.
Yep.
I find that with not just my clients, but everyone's like, especially when it comes to a device, it's very easy to get sucked in and to be distracted by, ooh, look at this shiny thing. Ooh, look at that. And like I said, the marketing media companies are very good at using human psychology to hook you in, so that you keep staying in that thing that you're in. So that's why it's so easy to watch Netflix rather than work on our business, right? It's so easy to check Facebook, right? And it's so easy to check a text message. Oh, ping, oh my gosh, I got to go check this thing. So what I always advise people to do is what I call manage their trances. Manage their trances. So as human beings, we actually spend a great deal of our day in trances. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. A trance is simply when you kind of lose track of time. Whether you are, of course, watching TV or you're surfing the internet, lose track of time, or you're being productive. You could be really on a roll with a project, and you go, wow, that time just flew on that project. or you're having a conversation with someone, like, oh my God, it's already 20 minutes past. So that's called a trance, okay? And if you don't manage your trances, you're gonna let the media companies and the the devices manage your trance. So you got to be conscious about which activities in the day tend to put you in a trance. Like, that's really the step one. I mean, I advise people to actually write a list, like go through a day, have a piece of paper near you, and write a list of, oh my gosh, and by the way, it's hard to know when you're about to go into a trance. It's much easier to know after you come out of one. And you say, where did that time go? Write out, oh, I was trying to look up someone's information on Facebook, and then I got sucked in for 15 minutes. Oh, I was talking with a friend. I thought it was going to be a 5-minute conversation. It ended up being half an hour. And so you kind of like write down, so you become conscious of what activities make you lose track of time. And once you become conscious of it, then you are more in control of your day. And then just even being conscious that, oh, talking to this person makes me lose track. Using this website, so the next time before you go into a trance, or before you go to the activity where you could be in a trance, and if you really want to be serious about not losing track of your time, you should actually set a timer. I mean, literally set a timer for, I mean, when I watch TV, okay, I actually set a timer. Especially if I want to go on with something else afterwards, I set a timer to say, oh, actually, it's funny. I set a timer called evening routine. And so, like, during dinner, like, we're watching something, but I don't want to watch it all night long because I want to actually get out of the trance so that I can go to bed on time to get enough sleep. So I have an alarm pop up to remind me, and I have to stop the alarm. It's just like waking up in the morning. In the sleep at night, you're in a trance. And then the alarm pops you out of the trance so that you have a choice. And so the timer gives you a choice. And so what I say is, when the alarm goes off, when you're out of a trance, when you get popped out of a trance, the first thing to do is to step away from that activity. Like, physically step, if you're sitting, stand up and just take a step away. So at least you have a choice to then ask yourself, the question is, what is important now?
It's great.
And if you do that exercise, again, listing your trance activities, practicing setting a timer for before you go into one, stepping aside and asking yourself what's important now, you will find, and I know this sounds a little bit, obviously it sounds unnatural. And anything that we haven't yet practiced, of course, is unnatural. But I challenge you, I invite you to try it, and try it 3 times and see how that benefits you. And you'll find that eventually you might not even need these tools anymore, because guess what? You'll start to live more consciously.
Yeah, that'll be the new norm, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so powerful. I do a lot of timer setting in terms of activities. When I really want to be focused, there's something about setting the timer. It's like the Pomodoro technique. You've probably heard of that. Yeah, but so I do it for a lot of activities that I really want to focus on and not get sucked into the internet. But I haven't really thought about it in terms of the trances, when I'm consciously allowing myself to go into a place that might be trancey,
Right. Sure.
Like, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Just set a timer, because it's okay to do those things. It's just not to do them way too long.
Exactly. That's so great. And then joyful productivity. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what does that mean, and how can we apply it in our businesses?
Sure. So joyful productivity is this idea of, it's not just about being efficient with your day, but it's really about enjoying your work throughout the day. It's because what if we didn't have to grudgingly do our work and then have fun when we're not working? What if we could actually enjoy our work all day long and enjoy our off time? Wouldn't that be great? And so, of course, as Pat business owners, hopefully you all are enjoying your work because it's so much, you know, it's love being around pets and whatnot. But still, even the stuff you enjoy doing, if you're not aware of your energy state throughout the day, you can get into a state of not enjoying it and becoming so used to getting into states of, for example, exhaustion, or states of where you're not taking care of your body. You know, you're not drinking enough water, or you're not, you know, taking a nap when you need to take a nap, things like that. So I give my clients this tool, this mental tool called green, yellow, red. And I use these colors because it's like a traffic light. Green means go, yellow means, oh, pay attention. You know, you got to maybe pause soon. And red means pause or stop. And so I invite you just throughout the day, just as you remember, and maybe just have watching this, you'll remember to ask yourself today, am I in green right now? Am I in yellow right now? Or am I in red? Green is when you are feeling in flow, when you're feeling happy about what you're doing right now and where you're, whatever activity you're at. Yellow is when you, well, I'll just say what red is. Red is when you're not happy about what you're doing. Maybe you are in a state bodily of needing to rest or needing to refuel yourself, okay? Or mentally, you are just not in a good state, okay? Maybe feeling negativity or whatnot. So that's red. Green is the positivity and feeling good. The yellow is the boundary between the two. And what's interesting is that you've got to practice noticing the yellow, the boundary, because when you notice that you're going from green to yellow, you need to stop. You need to pause. Just like when you see a yellow light, you need to try to stop, you know? And so pause and ask yourself, how can I go back into green? Simple. Do I need to go take a 10-minute nap? Do I need to go and get a drink of water? Do I need to get something to eat? Do I need to notice what my thought pattern is right now and arrest that thought pattern and replace it with something more positive? Do I need to go outside for a fresh, you know, a breath of fresh air, rather? And so it's like, what do you need to do to get into green? And so that I just invite you all to do that. Green, yellow, red. Throughout the day, maybe check in, let's say check in every 2 hours. On the even hour of the, you know, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., just ask yourself that simple question. And if you do that and you get used to doing that, you will be living joyfully productive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a conscious practice, it sounds like.
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's great. And yeah, I'm just thinking about how in my own life, you know, sometimes I think, well, if I just keep pushing, then I can rest when I'm done. But sometimes just pausing for 10 minutes can be incredibly powerful and can bring my mojo back when I'm feeling depleted or out of alignment. And yeah, I learned that yesterday. I mean, I've known that for a while, but yesterday I was feeling it was the weekend and I was feeling just a little bit physically not so well and just tired, you know, and I ended up just taking a little nap. I think it was 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And I felt like $1 million when I was done. And I thought,
isn't it amazing? It's like a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I think because of all these wonderful machines that we now have and all this great technology, we forget that our bodies aren't always going at the same quick pace that technology is, and yet we're trying to keep up.
Right.
And it's bringing it back to our humanity, you know, and our bodies and being loving to ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So on that line, you know, I know that you've talked about renewal time and you talk about 3 rhythms of renewal. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually one of those rhythms of renewal is during the day, throughout the day, to ask yourself that question, green, yellow, or red, and then take care of yourself. And I should also mention, by the way, that you can actually be in green all the time. And I don't mean that you should be working all the time, but I mean that even when you're resting, you can be in green. And what I mean is when you are resting or playing even, you could be doing activities that are green, positive, or you can be doing activities that are negative. You know what I mean? Like there are some activities that you just kind of let yourself go and do things that, but you don't feel renewed afterwards. You don't feel refreshed. You know, you maybe feel tired. And so, yeah, even with rest, you can pick activities that actually refresh and renew you. So that's why I think green is really our birthright. We should be in green all the time and just have to be aware of it. Okay, so that's one rhythm of renewal, is just throughout the day, pausing and checking. Now let's go back out a little bit. The second rhythm renewal is what you do on the evenings and weekends, or whenever your off business hours are. The question is, what are you doing to actually renew yourself? Or are you just running around taking care of family or taking care of friends, right? Because if you don't renew yourself, you know, just like with our pets, you know, they need to be taken care of. They need to eat. They need to sleep enough. Otherwise, they're grumpy and, you know, they're. So same thing. In your off hours, are you consciously designing your evening routine, for example? Are you consciously designing your weekend, if you work, or whatever days off you have during the week? Are you consciously designing those things so that you're not just being blown about by people's demands here and there? So that's the second rhythm of renewal, is off business hours. And the third rhythm of renewal is looking at the year and asking, is my year punctuated by time off, by weeks off? So one thing that I do is that every 6 weeks of work, I take 1 week off. And I know I'm I'm grateful that I've been able to create this over 7 years of building my business. I'm now able to create that much sort of vacation time. My vacations are typically just here. I don't really travel a lot. So, but I need that time away from serving clients intensively and checking email and that, because time away from work activities allows your brain to rest and then to be more creative as a result. And the change of pace is really useful to continue to then return to your work with more gusto, with more joy, and with kind of looking forward to it, because you've taken some time off. So I really encourage you. Maybe some of you can't do once every 6 weeks, but maybe once every 12 weeks, you take 1 week off. It's a really healthy thing to do. I think a lot of Americans, especially, have this idea that you kind of work all year and you take 2 weeks off at the end of the year. And I don't know if that's healthy, because working all year is pretty exhausting, and you'll find yourself wanting to kind of thinking about wanting to take time off, or worse, to kind of take a break from your business. No, you just got to build that in to your yearly rhythm, and you'll find yourself having much more flow. Because we human beings, we are not like a machine where we do this, or we're kind of straight work, but we go in waves, and you just got to respect your waves and design that into your year.
That is so well said. Yeah, I mean, especially pet business owners. I mean, I know those of you that are out there are probably going, oh my God, I never get time off. And, if you don't create it for yourself, it's not going to happen. Like George was talking about the time placeholders. The vacation becomes one of those time placeholders.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for me, a lot of pet business owners know this, but I was working 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day when I had my pet business, and at least for the first maybe 3 years. And then I realized, wow, I really can't do this anymore. And so I went from working 7 days a week to working 3 days a week. I had a manager managing my business, and it just restored me. I was able to be so much more present in my business. I fell in love with it again, and fell in love with my life again. And I ended up, doing a 4-month sabbatical a few years ago. And then I did a 7-month sabbatical in Bali. Yeah, so I'm a big proponent for taking time off and really regenerating, rejuvenating. We have to do it, especially being in the pet care industry. It's very demanding.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So any final tips that you have for business owners around productivity and, taking care of themselves?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just leave you with this idea, which is when you make a decision and take a stand for yourself to say, I'm going to create healthy boundaries, I'm going to create these time placeholders, I'm going to create these rhythms of renewal, what you'll find is that other people will come to be okay with it. And that's the key. And here's the challenge, though, is that when you first start doing it, just like when you change when you make a change to a system, it gets out of equilibrium for a little while. So there's going to be some. So this is sort of just allow yourself to realize that there's going to be some pushback at first from whether the people you work with or from your family or from your clients. There will be some pushback first, but you need to take a stand, because once you respect yourself enough to take a stand, they will then, after the initial disappointment, which will happen, and you say, oh, that's the initial disappointment, take a stand for yourself, and they will come to work with what your structure is, because you respected yourself enough to create a structure. They will work within that structure. And you'll also find that when you respect yourself in that way, you'll start to attract people, clients, business partners or workers or friends. You'll start to attract people who respect you at that level, because it's almost like you've raised your vibration to say, you know what, I'm worth it to create these structures of self-care and create these structures of working on my business strategically. And people are going to see that, and they're going to say, that person is worth working with, or that business is worth using, because they're precise, they're structured, they don't seem stressed out. They seem to be doing it with joy and ease. Yeah.
And being in integrity with ourselves too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, really honoring yourselves. That is just, thank you so much. This has been incredibly illuminating, and I'm imagining the pet business owners who are out there are probably nodding their heads going, yes, this is great.
I hope so.
George. So how can attendees find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, well, it's easy. Go to my website. It's George Kao, my name, georgekao.com. That's spelled GeorgeKao.com. And I have plenty of free resources there. I do a daily 4-minute video Monday through Friday, where I kind of share some authentic marketing advice or some joyful productivity advice. So I welcome you all to check that out, georgekao.com/videos. And I hope to hear from many of you. If you have questions or comments, you can always contact me through my website.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, George. Have a
You're
wonderful
welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.